Okay, so we just had a pretty notable trade happen right before the end of 2023 that I just have to sit down and talk to you guys about. So you probably know now that RJ Barrett, Immanuel Quickley, and the Detroit second round pick this year that the Knicks own, which is well on its way to being pick 31 in the draft, are being sent to Toronto in exchange for OG Anunoby, Precious Achiuwa, and Malachi Flynn. So as a Knicks fan rocking my Brunson jersey here today, I gotta talk about it because this was basically the first Knicks jersey I bought since Kristaps Porzingis ended up getting traded. I own an RJ Barrett jersey. I'm an avid RJ Barrett fan. I've been supporting him. I really wanted him to work out for the Knicks because they just really never drafted and developed talent, and they drafted him. Now, has he really reached his limit on what we thought he would be at this point in his career? No, so maybe it's been a little bit of disappointing, but I was always like, you know what, I think RJ can break out. I think he can break out. So I have a lot of thoughts and opinions that I want to talk about with you guys. I did do an initial reaction while I was driving back from New York to Philly today. My girlfriend recorded my initial reaction in the car. I posted that on my second channel, or if you follow me on Twitter, I did post that over there. So I'm going to just grab the mic today. We're going to talk. Who knows? This could be 10 minutes. This could be 20. This could be 30. All my thoughts and opinions about this trade. And I just have a lot to talk about because this came out of left field. We kind of knew that both of these teams could make a major move at the deadline, and I'll go into kind of what I thought was going to happen. Am I surprised this happened and everything there? So if you guys do enjoy these videos, I'd appreciate you dropping a thumbs up, and please let me know in the comments below your thoughts and opinions on these trade or on this trade and what kind of the moving factors were. I will have my new look Knicks with OG Anunoby rebuild out tomorrow on Sunday, New Year's Eve, and then we're going to start off the new year, January 1st, 2024, with a new look Raptors rebuild with Immanuel Quickley and RJ Barrett. Probably going to trade Pascal Siakam in that video too, just because it looks like they're heading in that direction. And we could talk about that. We could talk about the Toronto Raptors first. And man, Immanuel Quickley is going to be a stud for Toronto. He is somebody that I think is just waiting to break out. I'm not going to compare him because I think it would be a lazy comparison to talk about like him to like what Jalen Brunson was in Dallas before he ended up being a #1 option in New York and then fully breaking out. But I think Immanuel Quickley, what he does with the ball in his hands, he is very shifty with the ball in his hands. He can create his own shot. He can, when he's on, he can knock down 30+ foot jumpers and 3-point shots with ease, and it looks effortless. And he's somebody, when he's on, I think could be north of 20 points per game at his peak on really good efficiency. But the problem with him in New York is Tibbs was too inconsistent with his playing time. There's a rotation or a 4-man lineup that was always on the floor. It didn't matter who the 5th guy was, with Brunson, Quickley, Josh Hart, and Julius Randle. And they played better than any other lineup the Knicks put out there. But Tibbs refused to go to that lineup, especially late in the game. You'd see some kind of spurts early in the 4th quarter, 3rd quarter, 2nd quarter, but never really to close the game because they have this guy that's making $28 million that was the former 3rd overall pick that they wanted to have on the floor. He was the other guy in this trade in RJ Barrett. So what I gathered, I think, from Quickley this season, as he's going to be a restricted free agent at the end of the year, is he's probably, and rightfully so, going to demand $25 million per year at the minimum. So I think Toronto knew that they were going to have some cap space at the end of the year with Siakam and Anunoby possibly leaving. So they're like, okay, we feel comfortable with Quickley. He fits the Scotty Barnes timeline. He can space the floor. And they really haven't had that franchise point guard since Kyle Lowry got traded to Miami. Fred VanVleet was there, obviously, but it was kind of clock was ticking on him. And I think Toronto realized what they did wrong last year and not moving Fred VanVleet at the deadline and letting him walk for nothing in the offseason. They could have gotten a protected first-round pick in 2027 for something like Fred VanVleet. Like the Lakers would have definitely thrown that first-round pick at them if they were willing to move Fred VanVleet. But Masai Ujiri was like, nope, we don't want to move him. Maybe they thought they were really going to re-sign Fred VanVleet, and that just didn't happen. So Toronto goes out and they get somebody that's incredibly young. He's from the 2020 draft class. This was one of the steals in the draft. He was in the 20s. I think it was 25th the Knicks selected him, and he's going to be such an impact player for Toronto. So Toronto, you got to stud in Immanuel Quickley. You want to pay him. Give him 5 years, 125. Give him 5 years, 130. Throw some incentives in there if he makes an all-star game or an all-NBA team, which he's going to break out. It's going to hurt me to see him ball out in Toronto. I think he could be somebody that shoots high 30% from 3. He could shoot mid to high 40s from the field. He's an elite free throw shooter at times as well. And he's, I don't even want to say an underrated defender. He's a good defender. And I think he's one of those players that it may not seem like that because he's a small guard out there at times, but he's fast. He's somebody that can pick you up in the full court press. He hustles, man. And I think what I'm so excited is just to see Quickley in Toronto play more than 30 minutes a night because we've been seeing him around the low 20s. And with Brunson, in New York, he was never going to break out. And that's why I think the Knicks felt like, okay, he may break out, but it was never going to happen here. And I think the Knicks realized that him and Brunson in the backcourt, they were never going to fully commit to. Is that a Tibbs thing? Yes, I think he just never wanted to fully commit to that, which is a shame because the data shows how good those closing lineups could be with those four guys that I mentioned before, with literally anybody else out there. If it was Hardenstein, if it was Gibson, if it was Mitchell Robinson before he went down. And yeah, so Quickley goes to Toronto. I love this for them. He's a restricted free agent, so they don't really have to worry about losing him in the offseason. Now, for RJ Barrett, it's cool because he's Canadian, so he gets to go and play for Toronto, so people will talk about that. He was on Team Canada in the summer as well for the FIBA World Cup. And I don't think like this is such a big get for the Raptors. Like RJ Barrett has been very frustrating to watch as a Knicks fan because he's somebody that isn't the fastest with the ball in his hands. He's not the best ball handler, but he can get to the rim very easily. He has the ability to really get a good looking layup on most possessions. The problem with Barrett is he can't really seem to hit a contested layup. I feel like this dude can really up his percentage points by a couple percentage if he was just better at the rim, just because I feel like he misses so many close shots. He doesn't really have the touch on his floater. He maybe relies too much on his left hand at times, and it's just kind of frustrating because I think he could be so much better as like the number 3 option for the Knicks, but it really never ended up being that because yeah, before he had the migraines early in the year, he would take a 3, and I was like, you know, pretty confident that is going to go in. Then he comes back from the migraines, which are just brutal to go through, and he was just not the same player that he was. So, unfortunately, it didn't work out in New York. He ended up spending a little under 4.5 seasons with them. And it is a shame because I was really hoping that it was going to work out because he was the 3rd overall pick. They didn't get Zion. They didn't get Ja Morant in that draft. And the Knicks took him above Darius Garland. And we were like, all right, you know, we're fully committing. He was the guy that was going to spark this rebuild after they were so bad in that 2019 season. They traded Kristaps Porzingis the deadline prior, and they drafted RJ Barrett. So there was some promising things in his rookie year, even though he went through David Fizdale, he went through Mike Miller, and then Tibbs turned him around. He had a fantastic sophomore year. He was an above 40% three-point shooter. He improved on the defensive side of the floor, and we're like, all right, he's good, man. This guy's good. He had that Pelicans game in the 2021 season where I'm watching this guy ball out, or it was the 2022 season, and it was earlier in the year, and I'm like, okay, this guy could be the franchise maybe number 2. Never was going to be the number 1. It's a shame it didn't work out. And I think it was the right move to move on from him. The only thing is I was very shocked that this was the deal. They moved RJ's contract because RJ is going to be making $30 million a year, and it's going to go up for the next couple of years since he got the rookie max extension. I mean, I was ever like assuming the Knicks were going to get Donovan Mitchell eventually, and that could still happen for sure. But I really thought that the Knicks were going to add maybe a bigger name with a contract involving an RJ Barrett. I don't think he has the value of somebody like a Tyler Hero or even an Anthony Simons at this point. I think teams are kind of catching on what he is as a player. And I think like for Toronto, this is more getting Immanuel Quickley for an expiring contract like OG Anunoby. And you do have to take on RJ's contract, but you are going to have a bunch of salary free up in the offseason. You still get Scotty Barnes on kind of his rookie contract. He'll probably be, he's extension eligible at the end of this year. He'll get that rookie max, but that's not going to kick in at least till another year down the line. So they can afford to pay RJ's contract, and that's kind of what they did in this trade. And I hope RJ balls out in Canada. I hope he balls out with the Toronto Raptors. I hope we get to see RJ and Quickley just have like the time of their lives and really carry that team as like the 2 and 3 behind Scotty Barnes for the next 5 to 10 years in Toronto. I want them both to succeed. They were both really good Knicks, and I think they like embodied of like being what a Knick is, and they played hard and they hustled. They never really complained too much about their playing time. I think like, especially for Quickley, he was such a professional with the limited playing time. Like his talent, he should be playing more than 30 minutes a night, but he was just respectful, and it's sad to see him go because he was a homegrown guy. Both these guys were, and it's a pain to see like those homegrown guys go. And yeah, so they're both Raptors. I'm very excited for Toronto's future now that it looks like they're going to also move Pascal Siakam at the deadline. They were never going to pay OG Anunoby. In my opinion, this is a very good get for Toronto because I don't think that they were going to be in a better position if they kept OG. And if they extended him, he's probably a better fit next to Scotty Barnes than Siakam would have been. But I think this indicates that Siakam could end up as a King, could end up as a Pacer, he could end up as a Thunder at the trade deadline. It looks like he's going to get traded, so Masai Ujiri is going to do what he probably should have did last year and sold those expiring contracts, because if you're going to get either a young player like Quickley, and even still somebody that could be like a number 3 or 4 like RJ Barrett, for Siakam, who's an expiring contract, a little bit older than Anunoby, but definitely a better player right now, you go out and do it. And it looks like Masai Ujiri is going to do that. So, yeah, that's kind of the Raptors side of things. I like it. If I had to give a grade on it, probably give it a B+. That's assuming they're going to re-sign Quickley, which they will, and I'm very excited. Hopefully they're not putting Quickley off the bench behind Dennis Schroeder, and he plays 20 minutes a night. Hopefully Darko Rajakovic kind of eases him in at first, but then we see full-time starting Quickley either at the 1 or the 2 with or alongside Schroeder for the rest of the year. So yeah, job well done, Masai Ujiri and the Raptors. As a Knicks fan, it pains me to say, but yeah, they did well in this trade. All right, so as for the Knicks side of things, as a diehard New York Knicks fan, I was actually just like kind of talking with family. We were watching the Magic game last night, and we're like, yeah, this team still needs that other guy. Like, we're watching RJ, and like, you see Randall and Brunson as the clear 1 and 2 in this team, and you're watching RJ, and that kind of goes back to what I was saying before. When are they going to move him? Who are they going to move him for? Can they go out and get a good number 3? And they did that. OG Anunoby is objectively the best player in this deal. OG Anunoby is objectively better than Immanuel Quickley and RJ Barrett right now. He's objectively the best defender in this deal, and he could be subjectively the best offensive player. Depends on what you think about Quickley with a more expanded role. But OG Anunoby has been efficient this year overall throughout the whole season in a decent sample size. 49% from the field, 37% from 3. He's had his rough patches, but so have Quickley and so have RJ Barrett. And OG Anunoby is 26 years old, so he fits this timeline. He's a similar age to Brunson, a little bit younger than Julius Randle, and he's like, if you go by the defensive metrics, he's one of the better perimeter defenders in the league. So he now joins a Knicks team that has still good perimeter defenders, with Josh Hart, with Dante DiVincenzo, and at times this season, Quentin Grimes. So they're going to lose a little bit of defense with Quickley going, but they get objectively the best defensive player in this trade. Now, it's funny because the Knicks GM, Leon Rose, who orchestrated this deal with Masai Ujiri on the Raptors, was a former head at CAA, which is the agency that now represents OG Anunoby. He changed his agency representation in June of this past summer, and Woj has reported that the Knicks have been trying to get Anunoby for a decent amount of time, and they've been interested in him. I wonder if those are two correlated. So that makes me feel better that OG will sign an extension with the Knicks, because he does have an $18 million player option, and if he opts out and leaves and he signs with like the Brooklyn Nets or a random team like the San Antonio Spurs that have free agency, this is the biggest L of a trade for the New York Knicks, because at worst, if you kept Quickley, you could have matched his contract if you got $130 million a year from the Raptors or from the Spurs, and you could have matched that, or you could have did a sign and trade, and you could have gotten an asset in return, and you still kept on to that RJ asset as well. So yeah, if OG Anunoby leaves the Knicks in the offseason, this could go down as a horrific, one of the worst trades in the 21st century for the Knicks, and they've had a lot of bad trades. But I'm going to be optimistic. I'm going to believe that they made this deal with kind of insider knowledge, or at least a hidden agreement under the table, that OG will sign or is open to signing an extension in New York. Now, it could go horribly. I know OG has expressed multiple times in Toronto that he wants a much larger role. He's definitely the clear number 3 in New York. He's not going to be the number 2. Randall and Brunson are still going to get their shots as the 1 and 2 on this team, but OG slides in there as the clear number 3. With Quickley and RJ, who are kind of 3 and 4 this year, they're gone. So OG is that 3. If he's cool with being that 3 and being that top defender for them when it's late in the game and they need him to guard somebody in the Eastern Conference like a Tyrese Halliburton, like a Damian Lillard, like a Jimmy Butler, and he wants to be that guy for them, he will be. And I'm very excited to see like the Brunson, Hart, Anunoby, Randall lineups out there, and you're replacing Quickley for Anunoby, which is an upgrade. And he's 26 years old. Like I said, he's one of the best perimeter defenders in the league, and he's an efficient offensive player. If he's somebody that's going to get you 16, 17, 18 points a night on good efficiency and playing top tier elite defense in the league, you go out and you make this trade. The Knicks gave up probably the first overall pick in the second round because it's the Pistons and they have 2 wins right now. But I don't know if that rookie was going to ever play for them. Yeah, they have some depth issues right now, but they also kind of addressed that with this deal because Mitchell Robinson is out for the year. Hartenstein, kind of since the Robinson injury, has dealt with foul issues. They had to pick up Taj Gibson out of the retirement home. Jericho Sims got injured. They just signed a couple 10 days there. So I think getting Precious Achiuwa is also a good depth piece as well. I would have liked if the Raptors got like an Achiuwa deal done last offseason. I think there would have been a little bit of poison pill restrictions in there, but if like Achiuwa gets like 10 mil a year, boom, perfect tradable contract eventually down the line as well, because Hartenstein, free agent, and Mitchell Robinson is going to be coming back from injury. So I don't know what Achiuwa's kind of future is on the Knicks, but they need big man bodies, and this is a good pickup because I guess the Knicks are trying to win it all this year. I guess they're trying to go not all in, but seeing that this roster can compete with at least Miami and Philly. And I mean, they've looked bad and good at times against like Milwaukee and Boston. I mean, it's possible they could beat them in a 7-game series after we saw what Miami did last year. Never say never, and injuries will happen and crazy stuff will happen, but I don't think that this Knicks team is better than Milwaukee or Boston. Could they beat Philly in a 7-game series? Yes. Could they beat Miami? Yes, they definitely could. Could they beat Orlando or Indiana or Brooklyn or Atlanta or whoever is there? Yes, but I don't feel confident that they would beat Boston and Milwaukee, and I think everybody knows that. I mean, the Knicks didn't go out and get like a Donovan Mitchell or a superstar that could put them over that hump because we see how good these Boston and Milwaukee lineups can be and how good they're going to be in April, May, and June. But OG Anunoby, going back to it, objectively is the best player in this trade, and he objectively makes the Knicks better right now. If he gets 35 mil a year, I'm going to hate it. If he gets, I'm trying to like compare him to somebody that got last year. Like, I don't think he's going to get like a Fred VanVleet deal. He's going to get more than what Dylan Brooks got annually. I mean, if he gets like a similar contract to RJ Barrett, I'd be thrilled. Will he probably get more? Yeah. I mean, do I feel comfortable giving OG Anunoby 4 years 140, 35 mil a year. I mean, that's a lot. That is a lot. But nowadays, it's not crazy. Jaylen Brown's going to be making $60 million. So if you view somebody that could maybe even break out on the Knicks, he could average career high numbers, like as a number 3 option, and can step up as a knockdown shooter, something they need, because RJ Barrett has not been that guy. He's an inconsistent 3-point shooter. He's not a shot chucker, but at times deals with tunnel vision. And I'm not saying like OG's like better as a facilitator, but we'll see how he's going to look in the Knicks system. They also get Malachi Flynn in this deal. I don't think he's going to play. I think he's probably done. Obviously, he's going to be finishing up his rookie contract too. He was in that same class with Immanuel Quickley, and I could see the Knicks giving Miles McBride, the former West Virginia point guard who played some good defensive minutes in the playoffs for them last year against the Cavs. He could probably see an expanded role as well with Quickley gone. And I just wonder, like what the Knicks plan is, because if they're a first round exit, I think we dreamt of this. We dreamt of this 10 years ago for the Knicks, just to be a team that can get to the playoffs. Who cares if they win? We were the laughing stock. Like, my whole Knicks fandom from 2000 and basically 6 to now, I've seen them make it to the playoffs 4 times. First round exit in that 2011-12 season, around there, and then they ended up getting knocked out in round 2 the following year to Indiana, or those might be vice versa. And then in 2021, we lost to the Hawks in 5. Last year, we beat the Cavs and then lost to Miami at 6. So we've been getting better, it seems like, over the last couple of years. Anunoby is definitely the best third option we've had. So I'm going to be optimistic. I'm going to be optimistic that the Knicks are going to be able to get an extension done. Will it be an overpay when we see it? Probably, but who knows? Maybe a new change of scenery will be good for Anunoby. Maybe he's going to be good in the tip system. I mean, he dealt with a couple coaches there in Toronto with Dwayne Casey, Nick Nurse, and he also has Darko Rajakovic right now. So, I mean, the Knicks do have some stability. I don't think Tibbs is going anywhere. The Knicks do seem like they like him as their head coach, and who they're going to get out there on the open market. Did you want the Knicks to pay Monty Williams? Look how that's going. I mean, did you want them to bring Frank Vogel out of retirement? I don't know. So, yeah, this is a lot to happen right now. I think people are going to look at this trade initially and see that the Knicks got fleeced, and Quickley could ball out, and he probably will. And we're going to come back on this trade and be like, why did the Knicks trade Quickley? Because they have Jalen Brunson. They were never going to work out with Quickley, which is a shame, because I wish they did. And I wish they did. I'm not saying I'm glad they moved Quickley. No, I wish they kept him. I wish they did RJ Barrett, that Pistons pick, and maybe another asset. Maybe throw in those protected Washington and that unprotected Bucks pick. I'd rather have given up 2 future 2025 7 first instead of moving Quickley, and you pay Quickley, and you just have another tradable contract that you can leverage with maybe a Josh Hart, or you can leverage with somebody else to go out and get Donovan Mitchell or somebody else later on. So yeah, those are kind of my full thoughts from this trade. Sorry for yapping a little bit. I do want to bring back the Just Ballin' podcast now that I am going with YouTube full time, starting basically the last week of January. I'm going to be trying it. Yeah, so I'm excited for that. I do plan on bringing back my Just Ballin' podcast. I did this before. I feel like podcasts got super popular. Now everybody has one, but you know what? If you guys enjoy me talking, it's probably like a twice a week thing, and I feel like I just yapped and I just kind of rambled for 21 minutes or 20 minutes as I'm seeing my recording right here. So if you guys want to listen to that, maybe on your car ride to work or maybe your ride to school, I'll be uploading those, so I'll keep you guys posted on that. And like I said, we'll have a new look Knicks rebuild on New Year's Eve tomorrow, the 31st, and then we will have a new look Raptors rebuild to start off the new year on the 1st. Hopefully I'm able to get that out. If you want to see my full initial reaction, my girlfriend's literally recording me in the car, and I'm I don't even know what to say. I have so many thoughts running through my mind. I'm wait, what? The Knicks moved Quickley right now. They didn't even give it more of a chance. They traded RJ Barrett, not on a deal for Donovan Mitchell. You could have did that 2 off seasons ago, but you didn't want to do that trade. So I don't know. Yeah, let me know what your guys think thoughts are in the comments. I'll leave a link to that second channel video in the description below. I love you guys, and I'll catch y'all in that new look Knicks rebuild tomorrow. Peace.